I'm Polly Bath, and I travel across the country helping schools to navigate behavior management and intervention with individuals, whole classrooms, and even entire schools. So I'm here today to answer one of your questions. So here we go. I have a second grader who cusses like you wouldn't believe. He's like, "This effing sucks," and "I'm sick of this BS." Except he uses the real words. I spend all day kicking him out, sending him down the office, only so he can return and say, "Oh, that was fun, the office sucks too." How should I respond, and what's the best consequence to stop this? This is an interesting one, because then we all had this happen. You see the littlest, the cutest of kids, and they just come out with a string of stuff that will just, like, you know, as my mom would say, make your toes curl. I'm thinking about this, and I go, when I look at this little kid, this is the first place from my poker face. It's like, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. Remember, we have kids who go home and they kind of ask for the F and salt and pepper at the dinner table, and that's just kind of their norm in their home. So we can't hold that against them, and we're not going to. But when they come to school, I go into school mode. I just say, stop, not okay, move on. If you spend a lot of time going over the reasons why you shouldn't use that language, and this is inappropriate, and this is unacceptable, and blah, 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 and you're gonna always, then you're gonna say, "But how are the other kids gonna say when they hear this language come out in my classroom?" Here's what the other kids are looking for, because that's our biggest concern, let's face it. We know the home thing, we know the situation, we know we shouldn't overreact, we know we should keep that poker face and keep, calm when we respond to this child. But our biggest concern is, what are the other kids gonna say? What are the other parents gonna say? And they're gonna call and say, "Hey, this kid swears in my classroom." That's our big concern. So how do we deal with that? Basically, what kids are doing is they are watching how you respond. This is where kids learn their information. So if I freak out and go into a long dissertation as to why this language is just so totally going to make you the most unsuccessful person as you get older, I'm actually just buying in and feeding into it. So I've got to make sure I don't do that, because the kids are watching how I deal with it. So let's say I do have to exit this child from the classroom, because sometimes you do, because it just gets too difficult and you've got to make sure you protect the other kids. And I say, take a moment, go take a walk to the office. Kid takes a walk to the office. I now take over class. I just continue where I left off. I say, "Guys, you're doing a fabulous job. Hey, and thanks for paying attention." And I just keep moving. Because what those kids are going to look for is how I responded to that escalation. And that's super important, because then they learn, oh, I know that was bad. I don't need to do that. And it didn't disrupt my day. So technically, you're taking care of them while you're temporarily removing this child. Now, when that child comes back to your classroom and says something like, "Yeah, the office sucked too," let's face it, that's what they'll say. Have them sit down, let's go. This is what you missed, let's keep on moving. But then the consequence piece comes in. Polly, should this kid have a consequence for that? Yeah. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna say to him, "Hey, on the way out to recess, come here for a second. Before you go out today, we're gonna have a little conversation about some of the words that come out of your mouth and what you choose to say. This word is not okay. If you feel upset, here's what you're gonna do." And that's it. I want you to take 1 minute and sit quietly and just think about it. And I time that minute. And then I say, "Okay, go out to recess and have fun." And I do it every single time, because just sending them to the office relieves them of their responsibility to change their behavior for my classroom, which is what I want. And you don't know if somebody else is going to be doing that level of consequence intervention in a restorative practice when they go to the office. So take control of it. Don't let it blow the lid off your head, because, boy, when it does, they know how to cash in on that. And that consequence should be short, sweet intervention. This is where we're going every single time. Thanks for that question. And if you have questions that you'd like to see in a future episode, please include those in the comments below.